I saw the brown paper outside. Yeah, because I put her. No, it helps me. I'm actually going to be good.
When I see them, it's such a big part about me. I don't know much time there. We're just shocked. She meet your son.
I think yes, it's all there.
It's all this party. No, and that's why. Anna's daughter. Listen. That was she's married. He's a Parisian now, but he's Tunisian.
Who needs to?
Yeah, I better put the glasses on. My eyes are tired. It's the end of the day. Fred gets like I only use them distance. I can't read them.
Yeah, you'll see me doing this a lot.
I have very good distance because I had LASIK, but the distance is not. I mean, my vision is starting to go. I had cataracts, and they put the. I don't know that my doctor said you can put DMV and change your life because you don't need it, but this makes it just a little.
My driver's license doesn't have a requirement.
Mine didn't, and I was legally blind, so that tells you how much I killed. My eyesight was really bad. My sister just had before the LASIK, I could tell you were by the general shape of your body, and if you talk, I could tell from your voice. You'd be able to tell from here to there your face. Both my sister and I were LASIK. And the eyesight was beyond. Patrice had a corneal implant.
I didn't glasses until college, and I think it's really
I couldn't see from like
I'm still fine.
second grade on. I just didn't know I couldn't see.
I can't read, but I can see what that is.
Yeah.
I can read it.
I'm fine distance now because of the LASIK, and I'd gotten what they call monovision, so one was just short and one was for long. Except that was 10 years ago, so now things are starting to go a little bit. Well, sure. When I was contact. One vision reading, yeah, I had monovision, but when I had my cataract, that he did it back. So I don't need. I remember when I was about 14, because I wouldn't wear my glasses. I didn't want my glasses. I would take them off. I would sit, and my last name was Webber, so I was always in the background and going, this board like this. So I would put the glasses on, and I'd take them off to walk in the hall, and people would talk to me, and they think I was stuck up. And I didn't know. And then when I got the contact lenses, wow, things have edges. Wow, this is cool.
Okay, so it looks like we're ready to start. We have some people in the room and online. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Lucy Robbins Wells Library Board of Trustees meeting for Monday, November 11th, in 2024. And today's November 11th. I'd like to just take a moment to thank veterans, anybody who might be a veteran or know veterans for their service. It's always appreciated. Seems like a good night to bring it to everyone's attention. So, having done that, I think we'll move on to the roll call. We do have some people remote. Okay, you can see that. All right, roll call. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
George Bernaco.
Here.
Andy Brecker. Kelly DeHaas.
Here.
Anna Eddy.
Here.
Pam Canary.
Here.
Pauline Krupp.
Here.
Iris Larson. Leanne Mankey.
Here.
Maureen O'Connor Lyon.
Here.
Chris Riley.
Here.
Neil Ryan.
Here.
Christine Shushin.
Here.
Diane Stam.
Here.
Lisa Maxton.
Here. Drinking.
Karen Benner.
Here.
Sheila Rowell.
Here.
David Nagel.
Here.
And Kim Rosa.
Here.
That concludes the roll.
Great, thank you. So with that, we can go into public participation. Is there anyone online? I don't see anyone in the room. Is there anyone online for public participation? No? Okay. Town council liaison, we have both of our liaisons here with us tonight, Kim and Dave. Any updates or anything that you'd like to share with us at this point?
Jim, do you have anything to share? I've been away on vacation and ill, so Kim knows infinitely more about what's happened than anything.
Well, yeah, I brought my agenda from the last meeting, just so I would recall. We honored our new public schools teacher of the year, Jeff Elming. We did get a response, on kind of an update on the town center study, which, pretty interesting. I mean, for just, the whatever surveys had come in so far, and I think there's still, an opportunity for people to go online and kind of find out where interesting, themes that they had heard up to that point. Parking is an asset. People love its walkability, which is the general center of the area. They like the restaurants, want more retail and including a grocery store, which we've been hearing a lot. More arts-oriented spaces and places, which we were very happy to hear about that. More housing, but associated traffic concerns, a revitalization of Northwood Plaza, and asking about the Hartford Healthcare site, which is adjacent to where the town center is now. So they will, be filling us in periodically with updates on what they're gathering. Assistant town manager job description was approved. The description, not the approval of a person, but the approval of the description. There was an update on the community renewal team, reduction in elderly nutrition services. I think a lot of people have heard about that. And Dave, I can't remember, we don't really need to know exact number, but I know as we were ready to pass the budget, back in the spring, we had heard that there was going to be a cut in the nutrition services, not only for the congregate meals at the senior center, but also Meals on Wheels. Not just in Newington, but in other communities. And we shifted some funding over to be able to assist with that. But there now has been more indication that there was going to be a significant cut in numbers of meals that could be provided, both the Meals on Wheels and the congregate meals. So the town council, all members of the town council, and our two state reps and our state senator signed a letter to be sent to our federal delegation, asking them to do their best and work hard to see what they can do to recoup or to find ways to fund those.
Those are federal funds then.
They're federal funds that come into Connecticut, and they're the programs are administered by CRT. So, we have layers upon layers, but we said, we're gonna go right to Washington and ask them to start taking a look at what's going on.
So it has nothing, to be clear, with our town government and what we're willing to do, or our responsibility is because of things in the federal and state level that have allowed to slip through the cracks. And we have, with whatever we could on the town council, supplied funds to keep this process going of providing meals for those who really need it.
And that only went for, I think maybe half a year, 6 months or so. So, it's not an infinite amount, which is why we're all very concerned and want to see, we'll update you on what's going on. And we also did a formal presentation about the work that we all have been doing, including Chris, who's on the committee with many of us, to focus on the creation or the approval by the state of a state designated cultural district here in town. We have historic districts that have been identified and continue to be identified in our assets in town. And we talk about arts and culture writ large. So we've been working with, as we're part of a working group that we've pulled together and been working with folks at the state level. I did a presentation which Chris DiFrancesco from Connecticut Children's Theater and Ken Rawali from
The Art League.
the Art League also spoke at that presentation as well, just to give folks more of a formal update of where we are. So we're moving ahead. It's not a process that happens overnight. The state has very specific guidelines and very specific steps that need to be taken. So we are in that process, but we received pretty positive responses from people, and we'll be continuing to move forward with that.
I just briefly, getting the packet, looked at the district area. Does it include the library and town hall area?
Yes,
And I would think it would, but that's important and relevant to you that it would include
yeah.
this historic building as well.
Kim, the assistant town manager, we've never had one, right?
And we have.
Oh,
We
we have.
have in the past, yeah. I don't remember, I mean, that was before.
Paul Featherston was the assistant. town
Oh, that's
manager.
right.
Keith Chapman.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I remember.
Keith Chapman won flat out. Right.
I have a question about that, both town manager and assistant, if it comes to be. Is there any discussion by you all about a human resource director?
We have, Carol
Correct.
LeBrecq, I keep confusing her with a nurse that had worked in Hartford at Human Services for many years. Who is Director of Human Services here in town.
I don't mean
No,
human
resources.
services.
Human resources.
Human
Human
resources.
resources.
Personnel.
Okay,
Personnel.
okay,
Because I know
okay.
it's been a funky distinction here.
Yeah, and the town manager is looking into that to see, certainly if a assistant town manager is hired, then there were questions asked at the last council meeting about how different roles and different responsibilities will be shifted, and of course, that needs to be taken into consideration. So I don't have an answer for you. I may have one by
Well, it's
the end of
just the
tomorrow
point,
evening when we have our next council meeting.
What you're talking about.
My 100 years being in business, there's, you can't have the boss of everybody also
Right,
be the human resource person, if you're grieving that person, what do? You write yourself up, I've always found it to be a very indelicate balance in Newington.
I wondered the same thing myself about that, a personnel office. The town's never had one. It's never had a personnel office, or personnel department. That's still knocking in here. It's never had it. But I think the only time I got a response, I think it was mentioned when Republicans were in control, that the town manager takes care of all that stuff, basically, personnel stuff.
yeah,
That's how it's
which
always-
sometimes can be.
Yeah, it has.
And then
That's a
yeah.
See, I would have thought that the town, I'd be afraid there'd be some regulatory agency that would say, you don't have a personnel office? To my friend, have a fight, you just develop a personnel office. How to keep track of employees and everything. It's natural.
I think that's a good question, and another reason why we always tell people that we appreciate public participation, and whether you come in person, whether you come on Zoom, whether you call in, whether you send an email, which has to be received 24 hours prior to the town council meeting. We want people's voices. We want to hear what people have to say and the concerns they have and questions that they ask. And I think this is probably one that we'll be talking about, we'll be looking into as this moves forward and our town manager is.
That's not a knock on you or the town council.
No.
There hasn't been
It's
such an
just-
office.
No,
It's
I'm
history.
taking notes, and Dave and I will be there tomorrow evening at council meeting, but we have what I feel, we've made a very good choice with our new town manager, Jonathan Altschul. He's only been here a few months. He kind of hit the ground running, but he's still in the process of kind of scoping out his whole arena. But
And there was unanimous agreement in
There
his
was.
selection. Another little fact, the assistant town manager position is already been funded in the budget, but had not been
Yes.
filled for one reason or another, so it's not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a 6 month,
yes.
yeah, for 6 months in the current budget, yeah.
So it's not pie in the sky, really.
No,
No,
no.
it's a set amount.
Right. So more to come. at the next trustees meeting.
Thank you.
Hopefully.
I have a question. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, you go first.
Okay, well, mine is on a different topic.
So's
so-
mine, so's
Okay.
mine.
With the Arts Commission, are you looking for a facility? Are you, I have no idea what you're looking for with developing an arts program.
It's, the state has a designation of cultural district. And there are many, like I said, many steps in the process,
Mhm.
including a walkthrough by state, folks that are part of, DECD, environment, whatever it is, DECD and the Arts Commission. Newington falls under, Greater Hartford Arts Council.
Okay.
So it really, it's a state designation, which at this point doesn't have dollars attached to it, but has in the past and hopefully will in the future. But it also provides us with kind of a jumping off point and a springboard for activities. We look at it as a way to merge the arts, the cultural assets here in our community with economic development. Go ahead, you can add to whatever you'd
Well,
like.
what I was gonna say was, I mean, it's also looking at, you wanna draw people to our town as well, so you do a cultural district. Say, hey, you can walk through and see these historical sites, and you can see, you visit, these arts places. One of the things, so that I think that we had mentioned there was that, kind of drove a lot of the initial discussions on this was the Newington Art League currently doesn't have a permanent home. We temporarily rent out in the senior center, across the
Right.
street. And, it's, difficult because you have to kind of work around when the senior center's open and when availability is there and everything like that. So, talk about permanent home for them and everything like that, but it doesn't necessarily mean permanent home everywhere for the arts. It's just, okay, within this district, there's these various businesses and stuff that may already be set up for the arts and culture. But
So,
in addition, we are trying to find a home for the Newington Art League.
well, so that includes theater.
Absolutely.
So I remember hearing that there was a possibility of a theater in the expansion. Did we remove that?
Here?
Community,
Yeah.
a larger community room, but not
Because
a fixed
I
auditorium.
would think if we advertised that this could be part of, no?
The problem
Well-
is, well, not fixed seating. You
Oh,
can't do
not
that,
fixed
'cause then-
seating.
'cause then
You know
you're-
what? Just briefly, and that's for another discussion. If that would impede what we do, if we became, say, the home for Newington Children's Theater.
Yeah.
I mean, I did theater work forever. It's not just, oh, there's gonna be a play this weekend.
Yeah.
There's rehearsal,
Right.
there's meetings, there's auditions. It's a total package. It's a year-round thing and you need your own space.
Well, set design, costumes. the
And
whole
that's
thing.
another.
I mean, we
I'm
need-
thinking,
so
the only thing I'm thinking
I don't
though
think
is
this
that
is the problem.
not necessarily for theater, but if we had a space that was designated like an art space,
Yeah.
we might be able to get more funding more easily for the expansion.
Well, one of the things that was kind of my thoughts and, when discussing this was just the fact that when they do the walkthrough and everything, I'd kind of like to include the Lucy Robbins in there and also be able to, and I kind of asked the question, I said, well, can we kind of present, like, this is kind of our future. This is
Right.
what we're looking to do, and we're gonna include all these arts and cultures and stuff like that as part of, our expansion and everything like that, to kind of get, more interest in it and everything, since we're already getting, I'll say
Yeah.
the bigwigs coming in
Yeah.
to walk through our town and see that and everything. It'd be nice to, get more eyes on it and be like, okay, well, this is what we offer currently with our Lucy Robbins library, and this is what we could look to in the
Right.
future.
Right,
But-
that's what I was thinking.
What I'm happy to do, I put together along, with, a couple of maps that, Matt Plord and Paul Dixon from, the town planner put together, which are amazing. And every time we talk about it, we look at them, it's like, oh, we forgot to put in this resource and that historic home and that business. But, we've got a PowerPoint presentation, which I've got to get to you because I know you weren't at the meeting. I'd be happy to share it. I could share it with, Diane, and then maybe you could send it out so that everybody could take a look at it and see. It's very brief. It's only a few slides, but it talks about how we actually began this discussion process. and now how it has morphed and changed over time. Another kind of an offshoot of this arts and culture working group, which we're calling ourselves for the moment, is the beginnings of an historical preservation working group. So we, not to say that
Yeah.
history is
I
not part of
think
arts
it's
and
very
culture.
interesting. It's got a lot of moving parts, and to Pam's point and to our point, and why we have Chris, who sits as our liaison on that committee. The library is certainly interested in having space, better space, more space for art display than what we have now, to try to incorporate things like that in the new and improved, reimagined, I see. And just the one, but we would have a community room, but to have Newington Children's Theater in there.
We can't be a house
Wouldn't
for
work.
anything.
Right.
Newington Children's Theater it has been and continues to work towards,
Their own place.
their own place, which they have said many, many times would certainly be open to and inviting to any other arts groups and cultural groups to utilize additional
Right.
space.
So just think about it, if, so we definitely need a community room. We need a community room that's larger than what we have. We need to have flexible space that can come through. A 300-seat auditorium,
Yeah, no,
where they're gonna park.
Well, and also then
So-
you have a 300
Yeah.
seat auditorium
That's
that's locked in.
only, that's limited,
Right.
limited.
So,
use.
again, thank you for that report on that. That's good. That's where we're coming from. That's what we're, trying to think about and do. I kind of want to move on to
Absolutely.
our agenda unless there's any other question for town council that we
I
need.
did have a quick question, regarding the downtown development study. Is town staff conducting this study, or is it?
No, it's a company, and I could give you the name later.
Okay,
We
so-
we hired an
Consultant.
organization to do that.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, one of the things that, we're reintroducing that you might have seen on the agenda is the library department head report. So we've had a lot of, change in board personnel, and we've had a lot of promotions and change within the library. So a couple of years ago, pre-COVID actually, I think it went back that far, we used to have the different department heads come in and just talk to us for like 10 minutes, introduce themselves to us so we could figure out who they are, so they could figure out who we are, and just go through. And they're welcome to stay for the whole meeting or not. Tonight's department head is Jen Hebert, and she actually has to stay for the whole meeting. So for those of you who may not know Jen or recognize her, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and tell them what you do when you're not at our beck and call.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Taylor. I am the reference department head. I started in 2021, so kind of relatively new to the job, especially during COVID. I took over for Diane Durrett, who was in the position for 40 years. So it was a nice big shoes to fill. I am very much enjoying the position. I have a great staff. I have a big staff. I work with 4 other full-timers, 4 part-timers, and then as well as 4 substitutes. So it feels like a lot of people to manage. to keep track of. Otherwise, my duties involved handling the schedule for the desk, the reference desk, that's further into the library. Handling patient requests, whether it's, how to apply for a job on a computer, how to print, how do I work Facebook, on social media. It's just all different range of stuff. Databases, newspapers, magazines, that kind of stuff is also under my purview, whether it's adding, materials or kind of cutting back when the prices, kind of go up and up and up, and, maybe the usage goes down, so cutting floor and adding stuff as well. Otherwise, just working with patients, working with staff, and.
Helping us.
And yeah, I was digital services librarian for about, 5-7 years. So I have a lot of technology experience. Then I went to business manager for like 6 months. And then I went to, this current position. So there's a lot of hopping around, but it means I have a lot of experience and a lot of fingers in the eyes of working with you all.
So in total, how many years have you been with? library.
Full time, maybe 9 years now. And then before then, I was seasonal when I was getting my college degree, and I started as a page when I was in high school. All those years ago. So I'm a lifer, I'll be here forever.
Good, we like that.
That's great.
Thank you, Jen. And I just want to tell everybody that when we were at our last Hanel concert, a patron came up to me and pointed out Jen and said that she was a delightful person to have in the library and to approach and work with. And of course, the only person it probably makes prouder than me and Lisa would be her. But it's so nice when we have staff that love their job and it comes through and just in the service of people. So thank you, Jen. And you know, personally for me, thank you every time I hand you all my devices and go,
Happy to do it.
what can we do? So again, thank you and welcome. And next month we'll have somebody new reporting to us. Next up is Secretary's report. I'll ask George if we've got anything for the Secretary's report.
Well, I don't see him because he just
He was just there.
He was just there.
That's a good way to say no report. So if, we'll give him a minute to try to come on. I'll just talk about approval of the current minutes. Anybody have any questions or corrections on those?
I did.
Revised that set out, sent out, right? We corrected them.
I did have 2 corrections. The one was, it talked about the library starting Sunday openings, but it said November 1st. And, so since that wasn't a Sunday, that was not the right one. And then, there was something else later that said about, Sam Lee, comma, and Enfield librarian, and I didn't know if that meant Sam Lee, comma, and, like A-N, Enfield librarian. I was trying to read the.
Yeah,
That seemed to make sense.
she is a librarian at the Enfield Public Library.
Okay, so I'm wondering if that should have been Ann instead of Ann. It was
Yes.
like the name and then
Yes.
Ann.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry about that. There's no secretary's report. I'm sorry. I don't know how I got disconnected, but back. There's no secretary's.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
Okay.
no report.
So, right now, we're going through any kind of edits for, last month's meetings, notes. So, Neil, did you say?
Yeah, on page 6, under, item C, investment, update on local legacy contribution. I think it's a typo, the portfolio is up this year, to date, by approximately says $6,800. I think it should have been $68,000. As of,
The portfolio.
yeah, portfolio is up $68,000. As of September 30.
Minutes as amended. The minutes of.
Any other amendments? Okay, go ahead, Ann,
The minutes of October.
for the October meeting.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hi.
Thank you. I think that was in favor. Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Review of the activities calendar. It is November. Coming up next year, we will be planning for the staff appreciation dinner. So usually for those of you that are new to the board, every other year, we invite the staff out to dinner. And the board members, are encouraged to attend so we can kind of get to know each other. It is the board members and the board members pay their way, but we pay the way for staff as an appreciation. Hence staff appreciation event. As that goes through, what we have done in the past is, sometimes we've gone to museums and other things that are a little bit more involved or farther away. And then, a couple of years ago, staff said, you know what, we'd really just like to have dinner with you guys and get to know everyone. So since that point, we've been going, to Wooden Tap in Newington and setting up for dinner. So every year around this time, we start talking again, is that what staff wants to do? So we like to give Lisa and Karen enough time to get in touch with staff and say, is this, you know?
This is for next fall,
Yeah, so I'm just,
a year from now.
yeah, but it's coming up it's in an odd year, so we need to start to plan or figure out, because if they want something other than the dinner that we've always done, we might need a little bit more time to
Well,
plan.
you know, just to clarify dinner, I don't, if you're all familiar with the Wooden Tap, they have a back banquet room. And it's not a formal dinner, it's very, very casual, but it's always been so well received, and it's nice to be able to just mingle and get to know people.
Heavy appetizers.
Yeah, a little more substantial, and, yeah, but it's always a nice event.
So the odd year is coming, and we'll be setting that up. Again, that usually happens in the fall time, but we try to find not too busy and not too, likely to get canceled due to bad weather. Time on the calendar for that. And, welcome to new board members. I think we kind of did that last month. We don't have, new appointees from the summer. The Friends book sale, we'll get a report on that later. And, we'll talk about our Hangle event coming up, on the agenda. So that's what I have under November activities. Any questions? No? Okay. Next is the treasurer's report with Leanne Mankey.
Yeah, I sent it out last week. The balances in the unrestricted funds checking account is at $68,159.07 as of October 31st. The restricted funds money market at TD is at $41,313.05. And the money market unrestricted funds at Kingston is at $277,050.33. The restricted unrestricted breakdown is listed below. The current balance of the checking account is at $67,748.15. However, I do have a bill, one thing that isn't listed on here, I have a bill from the accountant. I met with Dean Spada of Kingston this afternoon and picked up all of our computer and our files, and we are all filed with the IRS for our 941. We're due November 15th for fiscal year June 30th, 2024. So we're all filed there.
Yay, thank you.
Yeah,
I know that's a lot.
That's one of those. While I was there, there was some questions asked, and I did do a breakdown about the dollar value. We did receive all the monies have been transferred from Bank of America to Kingston for the Margaret Hooker endowment. And I just wanted to make sure, there was some questions asked via email last week regarding the status of that, and if it truly was an endowment. It is. We have basically 100% of the basic amount, which we've established as being at the time of distribution, which is the 342 figure, is the amount that we're dealing with, but all monies over that, gains, income, etc., can be used by the library board unrestricted in terms of our use. There were questions raised as to what happens if this investment, because if we really wouldn't be maintaining our fiduciary responsibility if all we do is throw them in CDs, so we keep that amount. So you want to be able to have that investment ability so that you can grow the monies. And of course, we all know the market can fluctuate, and you can sometimes, if we were to go below that amount, for example, and I'll use the figure of 100,000 just to make it simple in terms of trying to wrap your self around other numbers. If the number was 100,000 and we made 5,000 in the year, but at the end of the year, we have to pick up a point, and that's investment to determine when we'll look at what the gains are. If we were at 98,000, we had made 5, we have to make sure that we leave that 100. But there's the fluctuation ability that new laws have allowed us, so that we're not locked into being in just very low return, but safer investments in terms of not having any losses. So that's a case of when the investment committee meets, we'll have to go through that. But it is truly a case of the gains are
unrestricted, but the principal is an endowment.
So
And-
if I were to shorten that up, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we received 100,000
Right,
and we invested 100,000. The end of the year, say December, right, calendar year, we look at that, and if we're at 98,000, then we have no money to spend anywhere, but we're not penalized at that point.
right.
But if at the end of that year, we have 103, then we have 3,000 that we could spend somewhere or move some other way.
Right.
Okay.
It's a simplified version, but that would be, like I said, that's basically what it comes down to. So, as I said, how we structure this and, the investments, currently the investments are held as what was Bank of America had invested. Kingston is now looking to find out what we want to do with it, because the Bank of America strategy was not necessarily what our strategy is in terms of aggressive and conservative investments, or what we want to do with that particular fund. So that will go to investment.
Is there ever a threshold though that we can't go below though? Because I understand we're not gonna get penalized, you know, if the market, you know, is down or anything, but suppose, you know, it went quite a bit. You know,
Well, no, then it would be a case of we wouldn't be able to utilize it.
okay.
But.
You have to
know.
wait for it to get back up to
Wait for it to get back
100
up.
before- 100
So,
before you start to pull it.
you know, one of the things that Dean mentioned when I was there, when we were talking about today, was to turn around and say, okay, say we invest that 342 and we come up with, and we get, let's say, a tremendous year, and we come up with 10% return. So we've got 35,000 in there. And if we leave it in there, then it's not part of the principal, but it can be a growth vehicle as well. So that kind of gives you that bumper to take you above and beyond later on. Yeah,
Okay.
so.
Thank you, Leanne, thank you, Neil, for taking care of this.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
I was looking at the reports today, and I think that this year is Neil's 10th year as chair of investments.
Great.
Wow.
You were elected for life too.
I'm so honored.
I was just looking at something and I was like, he's going back 10 years. Oh, my goodness.
To me, I look at it as a labor of love.
There you go.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You didn't know what you were getting yourself into when you said yes.
Leanne,
My
anything
checks
else?
are easy.
The only other thing, there's been no change on the Johnson Trust. I sent back all the information, and that just is a back and forth between lawyers and whatever, and we'll see what happens. I can't even guess when that's all gonna come forward.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Leanne? One more, yeah, thank you. Next, library director's report, Lisa Maston.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Lisa.
I started back full-time today. Thank you to Karen.
I have the loudest clap.
So, this, November 16th, we're gonna get carpets cleaned in the building, and then on November 18th, the children's office is gonna be packed up. Well, they're packing it up now, but we're gonna move everything out, because, they're gonna be getting it ready for the redesign that's gonna happen on December 2nd. So all of their current furniture in there is gonna be broken down. Most of it's probably 30 years old, if not long, older, except for maybe the chairs. And we're gonna, patch and paint the walls, and then the furniture comes in on the 2nd, and then staff will move back in, starting on the 3rd. I think, the line hardware will be unavailable during that time, because that's where we're gonna set up a temporary workspace for the staff there with their computers, and all their stuff will be in there too. So we're working on that right now.
How many people work in there?
6, but we have 6 people in there, but 5 people have desks. So what the plan is, so everyone has a workspace after December 2nd, which is nice for once.
The 6th person is hanging from the ceiling.
She sits in like a kitchen, kind of a kitchenette, sort of a sink and stuff area, and she has a counter and a drawer. and no computer.
She's on a
So,
stool.
Yeah, she sits on.
And other colleagues. in the
Yeah, she'll have her own
library.
desk and a computer finally. We're looking forward to that. They're very excited too, very excited, so. Karen and I are afraid to go up there because they have new ideas every time we go there, so. Let's see, we had our first Sunday opening yesterday, the 10th. And, it was kind of slow, but that's very common the first Sunday because people don't realize we're open, but we're really happy that we're open. And I think the patrons that there are patrons that will come every single Sunday now that we're open, so it's just a nice thing to have for people who can't make it during the week. We are going to be putting together we have the position that's funded, the library one position that will be funded as of January 1st. We're gonna put together, there's a formal job description because it's a union position, but we're gonna put together the actual job duties that we're gonna have this person do and then we're gonna hire in December and have them start as soon as they can after January 1st, and I'm very excited about it. So we're modifying the duties a little bit because things have changed in the last 4 years and we have different needs. Part of the needs will be in tech services, but they'll be doing other things in the library as well. So that's pretty much it for me right now.
Great. Welcome back. Okay, Assistant Library Director's report, can I have that?
Well, I will start by saying, I'm very happy that Lisa's back full time. My life just got easier, so, which is nice. So we have upgraded the software and the laptops in our 3 self-check stations. We've had them for about 10 years. And we are now going to put in a CIP request to replace the exterior of them. So Lisa and I are working on that as we speak. We're going to a vendor conference tomorrow to take a look at some options, but anyway, that's kind of exciting. I think I mentioned at the last meeting that our circulation supervisor, Katie Cornell, would be leaving on maternity leave. Her last day is Wednesday. I think we're in pretty good shape. We are down a substitute position in that department. We put the ad out, we got a handful of applicants, so we're gonna start going through a testing process and then interviews and stuff. So hopefully, that will be kind of happening alongside of what Lisa was mentioning with a full-time position. And then the only other thing, I know I mentioned the page turners book discussion quite a bit when I'm in here, but I'm always so energized after these book discussions. And I was telling Lisa, we had 19 people at this last book discussion. And it's just great. A lot of these people are friends outside of the library and they met at the book discussion. So it was just nice. And that's it.
Book discussion. You had one set up, most recent 1 or 2 months ago. I couldn't get to it. A book called The Plot.
The plot.
Was that what we discussed?
That was not this last month, but the month before.
Because I did finish reading the book, but not in time for the group discussion. The
We
book
would love to
looked
see
great.
it. Did you like the book?
Oh, I liked it a lot. It threw me for a loop, I'll leave it at that.
Write it down.
Everybody's scribbling the time.
Make a good
I did just have a couple of questions, just real quick. The morning tech talk, it wasn't the first one this past
Yes.
month, that was
Yes, actually, it went well. We didn't have a large turnout, but I think a lot of times when you start something new like that, it takes a little bit to catch on. I think it's a good idea. It was something that our tech person, Michelle Patno, came up with. And I think, I'm hoping it'll catch on. I think it will. We have, it's kind of complementary with the one-on-one service that we have, with the focus, I think, as we were talking about last meeting, to have it be a little bit more of a, conversation among people and a chance to meet people and kind of just talk about whatever. So hopefully, thank you for asking, and, I think it will pick up.
And my next question might be more for Kim and Dave and everything. I think at the last meeting, we were talking about bringing about the book challenge policy up to the town council. I didn't know if that had been mentioned at any of the recent.
We were gonna, I'm sorry, we were gonna update it first before I gave it to
Oh,
Kim.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
there was-
I know there's discussion back and forth, so I didn't know
Yeah.
where that's at. Okay. Okay.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, Karen. Again, I think you did an outstanding job. I know it's never easy to take on those additional responsibilities. But I didn't get involved, so she must have done great. And next up is Friends of the Library, Sheila Roth.
Well, we had a book sale. We did very well this time around, and we had, a few setbacks, a few problems, because we had changes of people who did a lot of things routinely, but we coped with all of them. And we ended up grossing $15,329.60.
Nice.
And we
Oh,
netted,
nice.
of that, we netted $14,421.50.
Wow.
Awesome. Very good.
14,421.50.
That's great.
We were really happy with it. It was well attended. We developed a little mascot that we had on there on Sunday afternoon. With one of the, because it was so close to Halloween, it was one of the volunteers' sons in a chicken costume.
Oh. It was inflatable, by the way.
It was inflatable, yes, and this is a very reticent child usually, but in that costume, he was walking around, high-fiving everybody. And, everybody was having their picture taken with him, and, so I got him set up for spring. Yeah, and that did wonderful. We had a few problems with it in terms of, the shed was so full before we took stuff over. We had a lot of stuff when they came to pick stuff up at Bay State. The Bay State couldn't take everything back because, we still had so much, which was an interesting phenomenon. But, we still did really well. We were really happy with it. And we'll have some meetings to discuss it and see what we can do better, next time in the spring. We haven't I don't think we have a permanent date on that one yet. Do
No.
we? No, we don't have a date on that yet. We're, doing, let's see, what else are we doing? We have a treasurer. We have a new treasurer.
Congratulations.
That we are very happy with. And she has, looked at a lot of things. She's made a lot of suggestions. One of which is that we get a CPA to do our taxes, as opposed to having the treasurer do the taxes, which has been going on for a lot of years. And, so that was already voted in that we're doing that.
Great.
She's looked at, a lot of the systems, the way things flow, and made a lot of changes already, that are all really positive.
What is her name?
Her name is Maria Judge.
She is a CPA.
She's a CPA too, yeah.
That's
Oh.
That's how
That's
we
good.
handle our books. We make Leanne do all the heavy lifting.
But I still go, I'm an accountant, I'm not a CPA, I go to CPA for the taxes. Well, she's very into two people looking at everything.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was as tightly followed before this, so that she's really tightened that up, which is lovely. We're doing the gift wrapping on the 15th. We have a box out there for collections, and they've done some, marketing on that.
Do you only want wrapping paper or gift bags or anything?
Gift bags, wrapping paper, ribbon, there's
Tags.
tags, yeah.
And where are you publicizing it? Or
It's been out in the Friends thing, the bulletin, and
Okay.
it's, there's a.
It's on our
Friends,
social
yeah,
media.
some, signs up and everything in here, and it goes on the electronic, so, we're hoping to have, a good fun with that. Starting to work on the Winterfest, that's the next thing on the agenda.
Nora and I will be attending the Regional Friends meeting, which is in Farmington, this week, which is just friends from a whole lot of other public libraries, getting together, to see if they have any new ideas or any thoughts and stuff like that. So that's what we're doing.
Date, so dating.
January 17th.
January.
The rain date or snow date rather of 24th.
Yeah.
Not going to snow.
Not gonna snow.
Ever.
Well, maybe not. This has been a strange year.
That's right, we don't know.
So that's where we're at.
Great, thank you, Sheila. Any questions for Sheila? No? Is this the month that we, ask and figure out what we're doing for donations? So, normally for Winterfest, the library does do a donation for that. We usually give monies, so they can create a basket, and sometimes we have additional things to add in or not add in. Discussion, ideas?
Typically, the donation has been $100 for reference.
So.
I make a motion that we allocate $100, as a donation to the Friends 2025, Winterfest, to be used for the purpose of creating a gift basket on behalf of the trustees, right?
A second. Okay, seconds, thank you. Any further discussion?
Just a question.
Yeah.
Would the friends put together the basket?
Yes.
Okay.
They know what
They
they
know
want.
they do it.
They know.
I wasn't sure. I had to ask it.
That is how you want it, yes, Sheila?
Give you the money, you figure out.
I thought it was.
We like that process.
It works well for everyone. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, motion carries.
Can I just add one thing for Sheila? I just literally sent you the schedule of the liaison representation from now until next October. So
I'm sorry, I missed that.
the trustee liaison representation to the trustees, I just sent her the schedule of who's coming.
Clear Wednesday. Okay, thank you. Next up is committee reports. Budget, I believe, is early, so I'm gonna.
No, I do have something, the access to the online budget will be available to, the staff on November 18th. And it is due January 3rd to the town.
Wow, that's early.
That's early,
Ever
nice. It gives us more time.
Let's, rather than the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Wow, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. Give me that date again, November.
November 18th, and it's due the 3rd of January.
Great.
And while we're on budget, it's not the town budget, but it's our budget. The executive committee, I put out a tentative budget for us. I know that there's been some discussion. A lot of spending is to our restricted funds, our specialties. Those aren't what I'm talking about the budget. To keep this place in operation, we're at about 15,000 for the basic expenses and another 10 for things like the subscriptions for the Wi-Fi hotspots and various physical improvements that we do. So we're talking at about $25,000 a year that we need to run the organization.
Okay.
That was, what was that, 25?
25.
Thank you.
And I had it at 24, but the insurance premiums went up.
Of course they did.
They didn't go up as bad as I thought they were, but they did go up.
All right. Any other questions or comments on budget?
No,
No?
not for me.
Okay. PEP, Planning, Evaluation and Policy with Pauline Crook. And Pauline, before you, I just want to say that I noticed in my notes that last month we passed out the ethics statement and had everybody sign it.
Right.
And when I found my signed form.
Yeah, I noticed you hadn't returned it because I went through the list of who I didn't receive stuff from, and that was you.
I don't have that form.
Okay.
I will send it out.
All right, great.
Diane might have a copy, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll let her know. Go ahead, Pauline.
Well, I managed to get through the election and managed to then get extremely bad cold, so I have been housebound. That's why you're not seeing me. You'll be getting the library director evaluation tomorrow. I have just been too sick to do anything. The other than that, I still have to talk to Lisa regarding the possible updating or tweaking the people challenging books that are on the list, but there's also a couple other projects I've got to do. But now the election is done, and hopefully I will be back on my feet in a couple days. I can start planning meetings for the PEP committee. But for the moment, we're pretty much dead in the water until I can get my act together. As a certain Diane Stam was last week. Was it last week or the week before that? She was
It
on.
hangs on, doesn't it?
Isn't
You'll be happy to know that it will eventually go away.
Yeah, I'm tired. But if anyone has any suggestions I know a lot of people have been talking about tweaking what's been happening in the library. If anybody has any suggestions, or if they've gone to another library and something has worked well that you have seen, just let us know. We can talk with Lisa and Karen and see what we can do about updating the way the library is run. It won't run very well. It's just that occasionally, you go to library meetings and get new ideas. So if anyone has any questions or problems, just call me or Lisa, and then Lisa will call me. That's it on my end.
Great, thank you, Pauline. Does anyone have questions for Pauline at this point? No? Anybody online? No? Okay, thank you. Investment Committee, Neil Ryan, for your 10th year.
Yes. I didn't prepare anything special though.
That's okay, I don't know if this is the actual anniversary, so we'll cut this last.
You have to think about this going forward. I sent out the investment reports earlier today, kind of late. I apologize for the delay. Anyway, October was a little bit of a down month, down about $12,000. But we ended the month October. As of October 31st, 2024, our portfolio balance is $821,740.21. But for the year, we're up about 56,000. When I mentioned the 68,000, that's what the balance was last month. We dropped about $12,000 this month. That's all. There's 68,000, there's 56,000. I mentioned that, just confusing things. But anyway, so it was not a great month, but that happens. I don't think,
Neil?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow that at all.
Good. No, I said, for the year, this is what I should have said. For the year, our portfolio is up about $56,000 for the year.
Okay.
I mentioned to Elizabeth that, when I corrected the minutes from last month, I corrected to we were, as of September 31st, about $68,000. We were up $68,000 last month. This year, as we lost about $12,000, so it's like 56,000. It comes and goes. But still, for the year, though, we're up, and it's been a kind of a roller coaster year. And I think October was not that great a month, so we were really more or less in line with what the market was doing. And the other thing I want to bring up, and I think you addressed this and answered it in your presentation. There was some correspondence between Dean, yourself, myself about the Bank of America administrator and whether the Hooker money is a trust or a what was the other term? Endowment. And I think it sounded like you got that
answer.
You got a handle on that.
We've got it locked down, so I think we're, at this point, it's more about deciding how the investment will go forward, because as I said, current investment is what Bank of America had as their structure, so we have to decide what our investment
Okay,
structure.
so we're up to speed on that, we know what we're.
But all the monies are over, so that's finally happened.
And just an aside, but the Hooker Fund, they're invested in different stocks, most of it. And I looked at some of their investments, and there's some very impressive investments, like. Exxon Mobil is from 1984, it looks like it's about 100 shares for $1 share. It's about $20,000, it's about $20,000 now, but their individual stock investments have been really good.
Amazing how money can grow over a couple.
But this, one of them, the investment was originally bought in 1984, I'm not sure which one it was. But they've got like, big kind of like Intel, JP Morgan, Johnson & Johnson. That's like
Good,
state of the art, McDonald's.
you guys can discuss.
They're doing very well. Whoever their investment advisor was, he's done a very good job for the Hooker family.
Any other questions?
That's it.
Well, I think that this is, it's kind of investment related, but it came from Hano. So you'll have to indulge me. At the last Hano event, Maureen and I sat together, we opened up the brochure, and there was this whole description about George Hano and how the Hano series came to be. There was 2 paragraphs. They've been used forever. The Hano, by the way, the Hano program started 25 years ago. Next year will be 25 years. Maureen and I have not been involved for 25 years, so pretty darn close.
Maureen Dowley's signature.
Yeah. And we looked at each other and we went, this isn't an endowment. And so it started.
It's not invested like one.
It made us ask the question, and I just happened to have a copy of the paperwork for it, and it's because we just called it the agreement. We never used the word endowment, and then this word endowment popped up, and now we have the actual document that says endowment agreement. So we're asking the questions because it's not reading how Maureen and I kind of remember how this information was passed down to us. I mean, it was just, it was just passed down. We never actually sat and referenced the documentation, even though I had it. And I think we were just concerned about, do we have enough money to do 8-10 programs that when we, for the 80th anniversary?
We did 8.
8.
I still feel every one of them. In my back, in my heart.
So we've kind of opened up a Pandora's box.
Are you saying that you're not sure? We originally thought it was restricted.
What she's saying is, on the pamphlet, we have a, brief description of what the Hano event is and about George Hano and his gift to us. And as we read that now, we see that it's not 100% correct in the way that it's written. The only people that would know that are those of us in the room and whoever's, watching that paperwork. So Maureen and Anna have nicely taken on the challenge to update that, and then I think that led to some of the questions for some of the newer money coming in, but I think it's all resolved at this point.
Kelly, if I may say, is an expert on this.
Don't go that far. Don't go that far.
Well, that's what you do for a living. And she's looked at the agreement and would like to see a copy of the will, so Lisa's going to see if we have one.
Well, it references.
It references paragraph 4 of the will on
Several
multiple occasions in
times.
the
So,
agreement.
I guess-
just wanna make sure you cover all the bases.
We have to, dig a little, but I think the thought is that maybe it's not restricted as we thought it was.
Because in the description that's in the program, and it never caught my eye, never opened it up to read it, I just looked at the cover, okay? But it says that it's not only is it the Hano, it's also for the future expansion.
Right. So that would be good news for us if it's not a truly restricted fund, but we'll have to
So-
investigate. So I think Anna and I are meeting on Wednesday to do some new verbiage, and I think the end result may be just something more general.
For,
Yeah.
yes, general for the
Cultural
Hanel
events
brochure.
and other.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the brochure, and it would be great for us to have a better understanding.
But for me, this also, because I'm chair of fund development, at one time, there was discussion of the meetings of the chairs of fund development, finance, the treasurer, and possibly our investment advisor. And, I think we're almost at the point where, we're probably ready to do that because I'm 95% ready or finished with the document where I've researched all of the donors that are for the Legacy Society. I didn't go back before Legacy Society, but I have statements on the status, the origin of all of these accounts.
Great.
And so Leanne and I have been sharing information back and forth. So I think it might be a good time for us to set up a meeting and just look at the big picture.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Okay,
I think it's a really good idea.
Kelly, you are now an official member of the investment committee.
You didn't know that.
drawing
I
up
didn't realize that expertise was there, and now
Yeah.
we're putting you in investments, and you can speak to me afterwards if you wanna beg your way off of it, but,
No, I'm surprised you don't want to be on the investment committee.
no, she's brand new, she
Brand
doesn't
new.
know, so we'll put them on
Okay.
path and we
I
can
think
move
this
them
is
around,
like,
but.
my first meeting was the annual meeting.
She didn't
I
really know.
shouldn't say, I shouldn't rush you like that.
She didn't really know, so.
It's baptism by fire around here.
I'm
so
pushing
get
you over
used
there.
to it.
All right, we draw on
That's all
people's
right, I've
skill
been firing
sets.
emails at her, so.
Yeah.
Yep, we try to capitalize on that. Your interest and your skill sets. Okay, anything else for investment? No? All right, next up is House Committee. That would be me. Library walkthrough, we have the date. It is Thursday, November 23rd, so not.
Saturday. I
Saturday.
Saturday?
was gonna say
It's Saturday,
Thursday.
sorry, it's Saturday, not this week, next week, the 23rd. And we are starting at 8:30. I don't know how any of that came out to be a Thursday. But we're starting at 8:30 in the morning. I had previously said that we would start at 9. But we're actually starting at 8:30. That's good. That will give us a chance to get through the whole library before it really opens. And it also gets people that are coming through, and yes, town council is invited. And anybody who hasn't been through, anybody who has,
We'll raise that at the.
share that. Just, kind of get back to us, either you guys get back to us or have them get back to us, cause I'd hate to take off when somebody new's standing out in the parking lot going, it's 8:32. What happened? How do I get a hold of them? Because the library is not open at that point, so if you could make that point, that would be appreciated. And, we go through the top to the bottom of the library, and we walk around the outside of the building, weather permitting. I've already done a couple of reconnaissances around the building because our weather has been so great, and I'm just hoping to stop any kind of snowstorm for that day. So again, our walkthrough is Saturday, November 23rd. That'll start at 8:30 and come in the side door here. Like where the book drop is. There's a side door for shipping, receiving, stuff like that. There's a little bell there. You can ring it if you need. And that's what I'll say at this point. I did notice, when I was going around is we do have the lights on the old door. But the lights for the sign out there didn't go on. So I didn't check it tonight when I came, but, maybe we can check. I don't know if it's the bulbs are out or if the switch wasn't thrown. Or if their timer is off. So all of that. Okay. Right, that's it for House for now. We'll have a whole long list after our walkthrough and have updates on what's been done and what hasn't been done.
Dan, do we know if, I have a note here from the work order for the sidewalk on the handicap ramp? I think that was brought up in one of the last meetings.
So I don't know if the work order was done. You can see where they've shaved it before down here on
Okay.
this, I'm gonna call it a patio area, where you come down the stairs and you walk over to the ramp. But, there is still a ledge, you know, if you're not picking up your feet to walk, it's easy
Yeah.
to, get caught and trip. So, we'll check that Carolyn has an open work order for that again. I know it's been put in, it's been shaved down,
Okay.
but, not recently. Kim?
Yeah, just a question, and this came up a while ago regarding the sign out front and the addition of,
Electronics?
electronic has,
I haven't done anything in terms of, seeking legal counsel to, find out, I guess Andy had talked to somebody at town hall, and they had said, well, if you deed us over that land or that property or lease or whatever, and I don't know that that's necessary or how we would wanna go about doing that, so that hasn't happened, but it would be nice to do that. It would also be nice to have that as we go through construction. I mean, right now it has the open Sundays sign on it, but it's hard to read, especially when the light's not on at night.
I would suggest, maybe speaking with town manager, new town manager.
Okay,
And then he can put you in touch with whoever, whatever department or whoever
all right.
you might
I'll
need
talk to
to,
him.
but, yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
All right, next up is facility and site with Christopher Ryder.
Yeah, so, as, many of you on the board have seen, and, I also forwarded to Lisa and Karen. We did get the presentation updated from the architect. I thought, looking at it, that, a lot brighter pictures. We did seem to open up the interior so we could see more of the old library as well. I've been receiving comments back from, quite a few people, just kind of trying to sort them through, and, a lot of the same comments on some of the stuff, and even some of the comments that I had, so. I've been just kind of sorting through them. I've been trying to figure out if I can prioritize, because I remember when we had the architect in here. One of the discussions they had was, it seemed words may not be as difficult to change on a presentation, but the pictures themselves would be. So I was trying to focus a little bit more on, if there's text that's, not quite right. I saw like one of the comments was, I think the process that was listed in there of, the library board approached the architect for the presentation, and then once we approve it, then it goes to Lark, and I think there was a little mix up in the wording there, but there's other comments that are similar to that. So I was trying to prioritize, I'll say, the wording ones over pictures necessarily, because I think the pictures are, pretty well there, plus we also gotta understand it's a concept. It's not gonna be the exact final design of the library. I was just, it'd be right before this meeting, I just kind of, assigned my own priority, I'll say, to each of the items. Board can feel free to disagree, I was gonna send that out probably, shortly after, either after this board meeting or within the next day, just to kind of, here's all the comments I received, and here's kind of how I see them. If you guys agree, I can forward them on to the architect and everything like that, as I said, especially if they're wording ones, I'm kind of hoping that could be, a fairly quick turnaround, and then we can bring it back to Lark. I didn't see anything that was like necessarily a showstopper from the comments, but, there were a lot of good ideas I wanted to bring forth, so.
Just for information, I looked at the comments that were submitted by board members. They're excellent comments, really detailed, specific points that they want.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, no, and I thought that, and as I said, when I did my own review of the presentation before I put it out, I had a lot of similar comments myself, so.
No, all very accurate, very sensible, and really made a lot of sense.
So I know in my email to everyone, I said that, I'd like to, at this board meeting, to decide, whether we just provide it directly to Lark, which based on the feedback in the comments, again, I'm not thinking it's quite ready for Lark yet, but I think, but I'm also not at the point where I think that a special meeting necessarily needs to be called. I think, as I said, I'm gonna summarize the comments, send it out to the board for one last pass through. And just, if you guys agree and everything like that, at that point, then I'll forward that out to the architect and get a time frame from them as far as when they can send it back. Cause I've been trying to keep Lark in the loop as well, as far as when they can expect it. One other thing that we've been talking about is structural engineer, getting a structural engineer's report. I have been in talks with, Eric on Lark. He has provided me information on a quote, proposal, for a structural engineer. I had a couple of comments and questions back and forth with him on that. Then I think I got them mostly kind of clarified. My expectation is at the next, board meeting, in December to bring it up in front of the board. Because, and I'll send out the proposal, that was sent out as well, to the board, so you can look at it beforehand. Just so that we can decide, because obviously, there would be, some costs associated with having to, get the structural engineer in. I've also been in talk with Lisa as well, because obviously if the structural engineer and stuff are coming in, I want them to be as least intrusive, I'll say, to the library, operations as possible for, checking the structural and, all the information they have to gather for the report.
Yeah.
So,
i.e. they could be drilling holes in the walls down in the basement where the friends are working, so. And we need this report so that we can, submit for the grant with the state of Connecticut.
Okay.
Without that report, that grant is not available.
And there are other potential grants that could utilize the same information, so we need to have it.
so as I said, once I've gotten my questions answered, I think before the December meeting, I'll send that out and everything, so the board has time to review it before the next board meeting.
Super. And, just one other question, do we have a way, because I think this last thing that they sent to us was in, an Adobe PDF. Do we have a way to break that and convert it into a Word document?
Word or PowerPoint? Is it?
Word or PowerPoint?
Yeah,
I don't
I think
care,
so.
because I
Yeah.
think then, Chris, that's easier.
For
You
us,
can
if we-
mock it up, we
Yeah,
can mock it up
I can
and
do that, Diane.
do that.
I-
I think that would be helpful.
I did notice this time, because last couple of times we've done concept presentations, they've been a link that's been, I'll say, a time
Yeah,
sensitive
right.
link. And this time it seemed they actually sent a actual
Yeah.
PDF with the document. So that's,
I can do that. I'll do it up maybe Wednesday. We're out tomorrow, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just thinking, that's just gonna make, making notes or changing or updating everything so much easier if you can put it on there, we'll keep the original, but.
and as I said, I mean, obviously keeping the architect in the loop on any changes that we may come across, so.
That works, we can play with it. And, I'd be happy to play a little bit if you wanna, I mean, I don't wanna make it really wordy, I don't wanna fool around with it, but, I like the overall format of it, but if we wanted to try to move pictures and move, back and forth on the pages, I can try to play with that to see if I can pull it off or not.
The only other thing I would add too is that I've been in just initial discussions with George, on the communications committee as well, just to kind of bounce some initial ideas of, how we're gonna do our PR for this, because if the plan is for us to do, we're trying to target an informational meeting in January, from January through whatever time that, we decide to, get it onto the referendum, making sure that, we have the PR in place. And I think I saw from, Sonia, I think was, mentioned as another contact as possible.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about that. Sonia is the grant writer
Yeah,
for the town,
okay,
a consultant. She's not an
Okay.
employee. But they apparently, her company has a staff that has various expertise.
okay.
And I think she has mentioned that they have PR
PR
people.
people.
So we can check in with her, but I think also to, like Kelly had mentioned, let's get a frequently asked questions
Yeah,
document out there.
Yeah, I'd
We're
like
gonna
that. That
want,
is a good
at
suggestion.
some point, we're gonna want billboards that can go up, I almost envision the race as having, Lucy reimagined,
Yeah.
things that we had kind of talked about last year that we weren't quite ready to pull off. Even here by a suggestion box or whatever, if we could start putting things up to get people going. Maybe, mailings, we were talking about the Newington Children's Theater, maybe sharing some information or mailings or taking an ad out in their area, anything that would get Newington people, I get more than just Newington people, but it's not just us always talking to us.
Yeah.
Right, we try to get some concentric circles going out there, so start thinking about those things. We had talked about maybe doing some tours in here and having, again, notes, so that if I gave a tour and you gave a tour, we pretty much have the same answers to the questions and stuff to folks when it comes through, and we can say, this is the really tight part, or we'll walk in here and we'll say, well, sometimes we have 3 or 4 people to, here, what do they do? They fix the boats, I mean, we can kind of tell them a little bit more of what goes on or what happens, so. I think it's great that you and George are working on that, with your committees and just, it's gonna be really important. And Sheila, one of the things I was thinking of, because I've heard a couple of different things in that, once it goes to referendum, we can't talk about it. I have to try to figure out who we really is. Is we town council? Is we town council and the full library board? Or is it that the town reps from the library board can't talk about it? But I would think that the Friends could talk about it, so we might want to be looking at the Friends to be very vocal on this. And
Why
would
can't
be
the board
providing-
talk?
I question that. I think the board might be able to, but we have to get clarification.
I know town council can't promulgate.
Right, but somebody said that the board, once it goes to referendum, the board can't talk about it, it can only be yes or no, and I don't know if that's the board or if that's the town.
I don't think so.
Right,
Well,
so we have to figure that out, but I'm also kind of thinking like, how do I get around that? And Friends could talk about it, right, so we could do stuff from that end.
So we're talking about the exact same things that we talked about in 2016, when we did the ALA workshop review. And I know that maybe a year ago, I sent out those notes from that meeting. I can resend them again, because it had everything all stepped out. It covered some of the things that you just addressed. And, we don't need to be reinventing the wheel.
No, we don't, so that would be great if that gets
No,
sent out
as I
again.
said, once it bubbles up to the top of my emails again, I think so, yeah.
Okay, I'll
That'll be
resend.
very helpful.
If you resend to everybody, that would be good.
Yeah.
But George and Chris, with your joint effort there, you guys can kind of go through that and see where we are, see what's happening. But I really think that's the next thing, right? Once we get this document where we want it, we're not gonna make it through a successful referendum if we don't get the word out. And it needs to be more than the people that come into the library every day and the people that get footprints every month, well, every quarter. So we have to think about that.
Need footnotes. Footnotes.
What did I say, footprints?
Yeah.
Prince.
So, yeah, I've lived in Newington a long time. Okay, thank you, Chris. Does anybody have questions for Chris, or did you have anything else?
No.
Thank you. Nominations, we don't have any.
No
at this
report.
point. Thank
All
you.
right, you just skipped fund development.
Oh, fund development.
'Cause
I still
already
have
checked you out. Anna, Eddie, is there anything else you'd like to
Was
say
that
about fund
Freudian-
development
was that
tonight?
Freudian slip?
No,
I know, I've got my hands in too many places. I'm trying to correct that. So legacy, the end of the year flyer was included in the latest footnotes, so that's done. As I mentioned earlier, I'm still working on that final list of donor historical information, and I will be sending out, that and some other information to those members of Fund Development Committee, and try to set up a meeting date that we can all agree on, and to go over that, and then make some recommendations to the board in December. So we're at that point.
You got that newest donor for the 2100 Thorner last week or last month, she gave it.
It's
It's
in the minutes, right?
Yeah, it's in the minutes, okay,
I
just
can
wanna
pull
make
it-
sure
I can
that
pull it out of
she's
there.
added to the roster.
Thank you. And another thing that, Fund Development Legacy was doing with communications, George, are you paying attention? Last year I worked with Fiona, and if you recall, we jointly came to the board and asked for, approval to set up a constant contact account. Fiona was taking the lead on that. We have the account. She started creating an email thing, so we have a constant contact email tool. We are paying a monthly fee. We haven't used it yet. I had reached out to Diane saying I was going to make a recommendation that we stop using it. But Diane went, whoa, George is now in charge of communications and maybe he has other thoughts. And George and I had a conversation a couple days ago and I sent him some information. I don't know where he stands on it, but I'm gonna throw it in your court, George.
Yeah, I mean, I've never used constant contact, and you sent me the documents to look at it, and it's, I consider myself tech savvy, but it's more complicated than I thought it would be. So, I only had a few days to look at it, but I mean, yeah, I haven't, I don't know if I can tackle it. Has anyone else here used constant contact at all?
$29.25 a month.
I know that, Diane Durrett used it before, one of our staff members has used it.
Yeah, but she's
But
gone
she's
now.
gone,
No,
right?
she's here, she still works.
Oh, she still works out.
But she
So,
works here.
maybe you wanna, George, maybe you wanna try to reach out to Diane Durrett. and
I'll
just-
reach out to her, or George wants to, I mean, see if Diane would be interested.
Okay, if you could do that. And then really, what I wanted is, I didn't wanna go through all the hassle of, determining and finding constant contact, and then know that we're in the process of getting ready to kick off things. Let's wait a month or two before we say no, and then we have to start all over again. So really, it's kind of an evaluation. So if Diane Durrett can help give some
If she
information
can,
to
she
us.
hasn't used it in a few years, but she did use it.
If we feel it's right, and maybe that's the conversation with Sonia or somebody like that, if that's the right way to go or anything else. It is about $30 a month, so if we're not ever gonna use it, then we should kill it, but I didn't wanna kill it 2 weeks before we start talking about possibly having a use for it.
Yeah, so the constant contact is set up with a database of emails from people who have either supported the race, either as a runner or through that Ready, Set, Go campaign that we did. It also includes, people who have signed up at different events. When Fiona and I were out there, schmoozing with patrons coming in. And, I also went through and included all of former trustees, and there's no guarantee that all of these email addresses are correct, but, the Constant Contact has a tool that will let you know which ones are bad and we'll kick
If
them
something
out.
gets
Yeah.
rejected.
Yeah.
Okay. Great, thanks. Any questions for Anna? No, anything on mine? No? Okay, good. Communications, George. Anything to add?
A lot of the stuff that's been talked about, with Chris, we've been in contact, and then with Anna about the constant contact, but no, there's just kind of trying to formulate a plan for the next year and how to best communicate what we want to do for the renovation of the library and how we want to get the message out there and receive input about what people want in the library. So that's something our committee needs to determine. So.
All right, great, thank you. And remember, guys, you have committees, you have people that you can call on to help flush things out. I mean, I'm all for the chairs talking to each other and figuring things out, but bring in the other folks too. Brainstorm works. Thank you, George. Old business, Hanel event. Our next Hanel event is December 6th, which is a Friday. And it's the Sugar Tones. And it should be a holiday-ish
It's
type
gonna be
lineup.
fun.
Gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun. Oh, that night is also the chambers,
Lights.
the light,
Light of lights.
light
Light
of
of
lights,
lights.
yes.
Oh, it ought to be really busy around here.
So they're good. They can go to the night of lights and then bring their caroling and come over here and come see the Sugar Tones.
And warm up in the library.
And walk to the
Yeah,
library.
there you go. And so the actual event starts at 7, yes, I have this, 7 PM. Doors open at 6:30 and chairs are set up and
Five.
refreshments Around five, Lisa, last time,
We did 4, that last time.
did you do four?
Yeah.
Last time we
we
never,
were-
we didn't get here until like quarter to six and
They-
you guys
yeah,
were
we
like
can
all
start
done.
breaking.
We were here at 4, we were
Yeah.
rolling.
They were really.
We had 'em moving.
And that worked, is that when
Yeah.
we should do it again?
What are you gonna do
you
for
want to show-
refreshments this time?
Ooh. Hot cocoa with candy canes?
Oh.
I just teasing.
Hot cocoa on the carpet?
It's hard to do hot beverage.
I know, no cranberry punch then.
Do cider. Mulled cider.
Cider.
Didn't you have cider? in
We
your
had
other-
cider at the last one, so we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
people like cider, especially in the holidays.
Yeah, cider, it's still that time of the year.
We can do cider and water?
Mhm.
What do you want them to eat? Gotta feed them.
Oh my God.
Something.
So last time we had those cookies from, that were
Oh,
handmade, that
Michelle-
were out of
Michelle
this
got
world.
them,
Yeah,
yeah.
Michelle got them. And then we had the Milano cookies, right,
Yeah.
in the package. Do we wanna add candy canes? Do we
We
wanna?
could, I mean, we could ask Michelle to ask again if someone could make cookies if you want. Up to you. I don't-
Does add a nice touch.
It's a very nice touch.
How did you serve them? I wasn't there, so I don't remember.
Bags,
Okay.
they had them in bags.
You want me to ask her if she can get cookies again? Okay. Do you
Sure,
want
that would
candy
be great.
canes too? We can
Yeah,
get the
or
little
we can
ones.
get, the little ones or break them up or, you know, we can have a box of them around. I don't know. Candy canes.
I think just the little one.
Yeah,
I don't
little
know,
ones.
yeah.
So,
And just scatter them amongst.
Just throw 'em
the
around.
cookies.
Yeah, it'll be fine, it'll be
So
tomorrow's
candy
after.
canes,
When is Hanukkah?
maybe homemade cookies,
Maybe we can have some.
cider and water.
Yep, that works.
And, do we still have enough of the,
Cups.
cups and napkins and stuff? Do we need to get more of those?
I don't, what did you use for
I,
napkins?
I think that we may have enough, but I can
Wow,
check.
Hanukkah begins on
Let me know if I
Christmas
have
Day.
to run out to Paper City or
Oh, it's late this year, huh?
if I need to get festive ones.
Did we have ginger ale? No? No.
No.
Ginger ale's for when you're sick.
Probably from another.
And saltines.
It's the only that's true, because ginger ale and chicken.
My mother's skinny chicken, so they can't even look at it.
I don't know why. Yeah, okay. So, candy canes, cookies, cider, water, napkins, let me know if we're short on anything and I'll try to, fill in or run around and get whatever ahead of time. Great, and then, I think Maureen, you had put together another event, another Hanel event for March.
Our first event in 2025 will be March 7th, and it's a Celtic balladeer,
Nice.
Dan Ringrose.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah,
Dan,
Ringrose,
Gotta spell it.
Ringrose, Ringrose.
Just like it sounds.
So my question is, because I forget from moment to moment, do we need to approve the amount that we are?
Yes, contract us.
Okay, so Dan is going, I presented our parameters. And he would like to perform straight through with no break, so set an hour and a half. So 7 to 8:30, and he charges $500. So I would like to make a motion that we approve the $500 for the March program featuring Dan Ringrose, March annual program.
I'll second that one.
Pam, you gotta be faster.
Huh?
You gotta be faster. I saw you try to say it.
I was
I saw
waiting
you
for her
try.
to take a breath.
Any other questions for that?
No, I don't know if this is something I should bring up under.
Wait, did we approve?
Business.
Did we?
Wait, is this about the motion that's on the table right now that we're gonna
No,
vote for? Okay, hold off, please. Okay, any questions on the motion on the table? No? No. Then all those in favor of spending 500 for the next Hamel event in March?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Passes. Great. one more down. Your question, Neil?
I don't know if this is something that, well, sometimes you bring up under old business, but on the agenda, we got to schedule an executive session. To
That's coming
discuss a trustee member, who we don't.
Okay, so we'll talk about that when we get there.
Okay, I was wondering with the agenda.
We'll talk about that when we get there, okay? Which is just a few moments away. Yes,
5K race has been on here.
whoops,
Oh,
I missed the 5K race.
she's trying to skip you all over the place, Anna.
No, I get no respect.
I respect you, Anna.
Thank you.
Okay, so, open board positions, we still have 2 positions open. One corporate and one, Republican town appointed, as that goes through, and then, the other will put in the 5K race. With that amendment 13.3. Any discussion on the 5K race? Anna?
So earlier today, I sent out an updated summary report for the post-race recaps. So I'm not gonna review that unless somebody has any questions on it. I would like to ask that when we start the, meetings in January, that on the agenda, that we have an item to review the to-do list. Because it's not there, and it seems like I'm the keeper of the to-do list by default. It does make things easier. And the other thing I want to ask, because I will be updating the website, the registration side, and on the registration side, there's an area that talks about fundraising, and it's helpful to have a goal. I mean, in years past, we put, updating the Lionheart Room or the Children's Department or something like that. And Pam could use it also for the sponsor letters. So, I think last year it was like, funds will be maintained to, for the future expansion of the library. That's very generic. Do we want to continue with something that as generic? Do we have something more specific in mind? Or do we say, do we go with this new, this new thing, the trustees need $25,000 a year to operate, and we don't have a revenue stream. And, go off of that, or do we not want to say that?
I don't like the revenue stream for the board of trustees, that's business, that's our directors and officers insurance and stuff like that, while that's something that we need and we need to pay for, I don't know that people are gonna say, oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, we can focus on the subscriptions and the hotspot.
Yes.
Yeah, those kind of things right now, like for example, the hotspots were initially through a grant.
Right.
I remember.
We're spending $4,000 a year to maintain them because the grant ran out.
But
And
I
we don't
thought
wanna
we
get
had, didn't somebody pay for that this year?
No,
No.
you guys are paying for it.
We're
We're
paying
paying
I
for
thought
it.
they told us we could reapply for that, but that
Yeah,
was not.
We can reapply.
The long name.
We
Who's
haven't,
the long
no,
name?
we just got a grant from them for the assistive technology.
The system
Oh, okay.
technology, yeah.
Yeah.
So we didn't get that for the hotspots?
No.
Okay, so yeah.
But those are the kind of things, and also, for example, like the lighting and any kind of physical improvements that we've done in here. Those are things that typically, we have about a $10,000 figure of that 25.
Mhm.
That is the hotspots at $4,000, and, various physical improvements within building, like when we replace furniture or whatever else, that type of thing, like when we did the, reupholstering of the chairs, that kind of thing. But I'm almost of the mind, and again, we can turn around and look at this as a whole. This new endowment, if it's generating and we can use it for unrestricted items, perhaps we pay the bills for that, and then you can use the rates for a focus, whether it's expansion or a particular project, like when we did the Lionheart Room or something like that. It might be an easier sell to sponsors to say, hey, this is going toward the children's department and we're gonna, rebuild that or whatever. People like to have their name associated with a task versus paying the bills.
Yeah. I know, but, I mean, we have to ask Lisa and Karen, is there an area I mean, you're just updating the office space in the children's department, but that's coming, I don't know where that's coming from.
We got a grant.
Oh, we got a grant.
ARPA funds. Oh, ARPA funds, that is, yeah.
So I don't know if there's another area or we, kind of enhance the whole
So
hotspot
last year we
concept.
did focusing on expanding the library.
Yeah,
That is our goal, and by May, that might be our only way to publicize. Given,
So we need to update the website in January, right? Because that's when it opens.
yeah.
So we need to know what we're doing for January if we're gonna call something out.
I mean, we can just keep it because right now it says expansion.
that's pretty generic. It's not gonna be anything that's gonna get us in trouble, I don't think politically, because we've been looking to expand forever.
I know.
So,
I think we could leave it at expansion and, we can always add words to it,
Yeah,
or, see we can maybe advertise that we would have something up when we're closer to the date, come see our plans or something like that. The plans are posted in the library if they might feel like it's more real than, building a college fund for an unborn child. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
okay.
we're looking at expansion.
Thank you. And so just for those folks that are new, our meetings have been starting at 7 in January. They'll start at 6:30. And that's a race meeting for all, trustees. Town council doesn't have to be there then, but if you see us meeting, please just come on in. Don't wait, because we'll roll from one to the other. So just a reminder for that. And then, new business, do we have any new business? No? Okay, any public participation online? No? All right, and then the next item is executive session, and we'll work it, very similar to the way we worked it last time, where we will get out of this meeting, so all of you that are, remote out there, look for the executive session login that, came from Karen Benner. So log out of this one and then log into executive session.
That was one for today, Katie.
Yeah, she
Because we're
sent
gonna
it,
have
it's
to-
updated.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, for the executive session. And
Lisa.
town council and those guys,
Get
you're
me
not part of the
information.
executive session, so you're able to go. We are going to log out of this. This
Getting
meeting.
food served.
Log out.
Oh, we don't have to,
Yeah,
certificate's good for another year.
About baptism.
Right.
You don't have to be able to set it up. It's gonna be-
She can do anything after.
Do
you wanna- Well, I guess.
Okay, folks, we're returning to the meeting, so please watch what you're saying.
It's a lot in the last years, I would say. So we're back in.
Yeah, we're back in.
Okay, everyone, we are, coming back in, executive session ended.
I see George.
There's an echo from.
Just
She's
got
got
it.
I see George. I don't know who else is here.
So we have to formally
They might not come
adjourn
back in.
our board.
That's okay, they're in. So we came out of executive session at 9:45. A vote was taken. And a letter will be sent to Andy Brucker advising him of our actions.
You want it?
You have
I think
So
so,
I have to say-
I think you have to record the
That's
motion.
what we said.
So, the motion was taken to request Andy Brucker's resignation.
Yeah.
The vote carried 10-2, and we'll be sending a letter to Mr. Brucker with that information.
No,
This is
you wanna
public.
have,
This
just we met
This
the
is public.
requirements.
We can't be that specific.
Okay, I undid it. Back up. It's too late. I said it out loud. It's okay.
But
Get that letter out tonight.
Yeah.
I will.
Oh my goodness, anybody could, if that goes gets posted, and, I didn't even think of that part.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah.
So we have to just move forward.
Okay, so
well, we-
I need
there's
a
no
motion for adjournment.
participation.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second. or
Thank you.
somebody
All
else
those
do
in
that.
favor?
After all that,
Opposed?
not then, anything's down, it's still going
Well, the other show.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, I know, I missed both of them. Well.
How do you